In our travels across America, we've seen a place or two. On today's video, I'm going to be telling you about 10 small towns that you probably have never even heard of, but are definitely worth checking out if you get the opportunity. These are small towns that we didn't even think were that incredible, so they're somewhat hidden little treasures of towns. Yet being small and somewhat unknown, these places actually have a lot to discover. Number 1. Monterey, California has to be one of the most beautiful towns in the United States, and despite not being a known destination, it's kind of a low-key spot. It is a must-see travel destination on the west coast of the United States. Whether you enjoy nature, cool weather, scenic beauty, or just enjoying an awesome culture, this city has a lot to offer. And while it sounds kind of touristy, a whale-watching expedition is definitely recommended. If you're visiting San Francisco, this is definitely a place you want to take the time to visit. Depending on the time of the year, you can see orcas or humpback whales. The foliage, the landscape, the atmosphere of coastal California. This is definitely one of the most mellow and relaxing places you can find. The variety of landscapes, varying scenery here will definitely captivate you. It seems that with every changing mile, the landscape and everything about the topography changes, and you're presented with a new natural, beautiful sight. This is where mountains, forests, and oceans all join in one single place, offering you an incredible contrast of landscapes. Without a doubt, Monterey, California has to be one of the most overlooked but amazing destinations in the United States. Number 2 is Marquette, Michigan. A lot of people in Chicago have never seen this place, and I definitely recommend it, particularly in the hotter part of the year. This is in Michigan's Upper Peninsula, usually a frozen tundra during the winter, but a beautiful place in the summertime. The Upper Peninsula of Michigan has to be one of the most underrated regions of the country in general. With natural beauty and complete isolation, if you're looking for a getaway, this is it. With the elegance of the Northeast, but the quiet mildness of the Midwest, this is a truly amazing, serene destination. If you're looking for a destination that seldomly is seen but is beautiful, peaceful, quiet, and will disconnect you from the rest of the world, consider coming to Marquette, Michigan. The next large city is hours away, but in Marquette, Michigan, you have just about everything you need. Outdoor trails and nature opportunities and serene places that are barely inhabited are abundant in the Upper Peninsula. This Midwest road trip will put you in places that feel like a tropical island. It really is recommendable. Rosemary Beach, Florida, located in the Florida Panhandle. This region has some of the clearest waters of anywhere in Florida. While the Panhandle beaches water temperature isn't as warm as South Florida, it really is a beautiful destination for serenity, natural settings, and elegant outdoor activities. And while the Florida Panhandle is known as the Redneck Riviera, it really is classy in a few places. Areas like Alice Beach, Rosemary Beach, and Seaside are newer growing areas where you can find peace, tranquility along the beautiful clear waters of the Gulf of Mexico. While not as popular as other destinations further south into Florida, don't underestimate the beauty of the Florida Panhandle. Me and my wife like to go here every single year to disconnect from the busier parts of the state. Number 4 is Junction, Texas, the start of Texas Hill Country, not too far from fun cities like San Antonio and Austin. This is the part of Texas that's arid enough to look deserty, but close enough to other big cities to not be in the absolute middle of nowhere. The hilly terrain here only gives way to the beautiful colors of the Llano River. If you want to live in Texas but feel like you're in Montana, this is a very quiet, serene, and isolated town that will give you Wild West vibes while giving you just the scenic backdrop of a town somewhere in the Western Mountains. The town's historic and rustic buildings make you feel like you're in the set of a Western movie. To be fair, much of Texas is not much more than a barren wasteland, but here, the topography, the mountains, and enough vegetation in the hill country gives this area a little bit more of a green feel, something that's hard to find in Texas. It's almost like a slice of Tennessee in the middle of Texas. For its unique characteristics, you're not going to find much like Junction, Texas anywhere else in the United States. Number 5 is Natchitoches, Louisiana. Louisiana is not known for natural beauty, but this part of the state seems to be an exception. The town's beautiful, historic, charming, mellow, and located in the south region of the country that's devoid of places that are charming. This town really is an exception for this region of the country. Many aspects of the architecture here are going to make you feel like you're in Texas. It really feels historic, and it feels like a combination of Texas meets Louisiana. If you like architecture and just beautiful buildings, there's so much to explore in this secluded region of Louisiana that is often missed by visitors to the state. A walk along the waterfront here, overlooking the town's historic district. With French and Creole influences in this area, the food here is amazing as well. Number 6 is New London, Connecticut. I think we often forget that the Northeast has a beautiful coastline other than just Maine. New London is aesthetically pleasing with many historic buildings, kind of large for the size of the town. If you like historic buildings being near the water and a beautiful coastline, you're also close to Rhode Island, and the islands offshore actually belong to New York. That's a lot of different places in one spot. The town's kind of active, lots of events going on. The people are always up to something here. It's a moving, bustling city for the size. While Connecticut doesn't have the reputation of Maine lobsters, I'll tell you the seafood here is exceptional. When it comes to natural beauty, the state of Maine is almost unrivaled. It really is one of the most beautiful states in the country. In the area surrounding Jackman, an isolated region of the state heading towards the border with Canada, is absolutely some of the most beautiful and scenic places that you're going to see anywhere in the United States. The border crossing from Canada into the United States here, you are welcomed by this beautiful scenery. The border crossing here seems surreal considering, well, simply how easy it was to enter the United States here. The isolation of this region really is overwhelming. This is where we saw our first moose in the wild. At first glance, it might seem like there's really nothing happening up here, but if you look a little bit closer, you'll see that the locals like to ride ATVs through trails, and they really make the best of the isolation here to kind of be able to live in what feels like times long gone past. With plenty of trails to ride ATVs and other off-road opportunities, beautiful nature, rivers, mountains, and just being in a place completely isolated from the rest of the country. Beautiful landscape. This region of the country really is worth exploring. The town of Jackman will put you on your way to Canada, where there's also beautiful destinations to explore like Quebec City, another undiscovered gem of North America that feels like a slice of Europe. Lots of French influence here as well. The Americans and the French Canadians live here in harmony and peace, off-roading through the woods, enjoying the beautiful setting and, of course, the incredible large wildlife that sometimes is sleeping by the side of the road. Without a doubt, this region of Maine is unlike anywhere else in the country. I mean, you're close to Canada, you have all the French-Canadian aspects of the culture, but you're still in the United States. It's a very interesting place where two different countries combine and a little bit of both. It really is awesome. The architecture is beautiful, the landscape setting and all that is gorgeous. I wouldn't want to be here in the winter. This is the type of place where you find some good off-road trails and really get to see a time gone past. It's the way this place feels. Completely isolated. If you're looking for a getaway, this will definitely put you in a place that a few people in the United States will ever see. If you enjoy it, being in places that feel completely distant, disconnected, if you're looking for that perfect getaway and to see something that most people will never get to see, this part of the country will introduce you to new landscape settings, architecture, and just so many different things that kind of feel unique to this part of the country that you might not get everywhere else. Number 8 is Clarksburg, West Virginia. If you want to talk about secluded, this town has the lowest percentage of foreign-born population of anywhere else in the United States. So this is definitely at least culturally isolated. West Virginia is a part of the country a lot of people avoid when they travel. The state has a horrible reputation for lodging accommodations, but this part of the state is a little bit better and actually worth giving a try. As we know, in this part of the country, a lot of towns are in decline. Perhaps you could describe this town as a shell of its former days. Long past are the busy days, but it was once a very important place to be. You can tell by the structures here that this place had prominence in its day-to-day. That is perhaps a little bit slowed down. If you're looking for a place of complete isolation, West Virginia's mountains completely culturally isolate this region of the country And if you're looking for something different, a change of pace, scenery, everything you'll find here will be of interest to you if you're traveling. And if you want a trip that is even that much better, consider timing it accordingly to the changing colors of fall. That is when this area really is worth seeing. Number 9 is Guntersville, Alabama, located in the middle of the Tennessee River. It almost feels like the Tennessee River wraps around Guntersville. It's like an opening between the mountains and the Tennessee River, and right in the middle is this cute, charming town of Guntersville. If you want to explore small towns in the United States that few people will ever get to see, isolated by the mountains of Appalachia, Northeast Alabama has a lot of these little towns. From Guntersville, Mentone, you also have Piedmont. From town to town, these places are really isolated, surrounded by mountains and even the Tennessee River acting as natural barriers, keeping these towns at a speed of life a lot slower than anywhere else in the United States. It really is isolated, secluded, and these towns really have a charm of their own. My favorite time to be up here is in the winter time because every once in a while you do get snow here, and this is pretty far south to see snow in my opinion. Downtown is walkable with interesting sights, a few restaurants and sports bars. It is Alabama after all. These towns go to sleep fairly early. There isn't much nightlife to speak of here, but if you're looking to slow things down a little bit, this area will definitely do the trick. The views in the fall are beautiful as well. Sunsets here are gorgeous. Guntersville really is a beautiful little town, secluded in the mountains, very peaceful, mellow, and relaxing. If you like going for walks, it's one of the few towns in Alabama that is actually relatively walkable, with plenty of beautiful and interesting things to see along the way, like this house right here made out of rocks. On a fall day or a winter morning with snow on the ground, this really is a gorgeous setting. Number 10 is Bolton, California, a town of just 5,000 people. If you're exploring the California coast, you might want to find a place that's a little bit quieter, out of the beaten path, nice resorts, beautiful settings. This place will definitely tranquilize you. It's calm, it's peaceful, it's relaxing. It's a small town surrounded by mountains with beautiful settings. And of course, you know the California coast is a large area you're going to be exploring, and even that in itself can be overwhelming. So this little town is a great place to unwind from your California coastal exploration. And really, as you're heading north out of what I call the elbow of California that kind of pokes out near Gaviota Beach, you have to go inland because there's no roads along the coast, so you're kind of forced to go inland. And well, it really isn't a bad change of scenery. So if you're going to be in the Los Angeles area, or if you live in Los Angeles and you just need to get away from the traffic and madness, this little town will give you a welcomed relief. Alright guys, I hope you guys have enjoyed our video today of 10 small and isolated, somewhat secluded towns that you can use to get away from the madness of big cities. Or if you're looking to travel and see places that a lot of people seldomly see, these destinations will definitely put you in places kind of off the beaten path and definitely secluded places, small towns where you can get away from the crazier world that is the large cities that we live in. So if you live in San Francisco, you know you can hop on down to Monterey and Los Angeles. You know you can hop on over to Bolton. If you're in Chicago, I know that road trip into the Upper Peninsula seems like the end of the world, but it is so worth it to see Marquette. If you're in Florida, hit up the Florida Panhandle, check out Rosemary Beach. And if you've just about lost your mind or have some warrants and need to head to Canada, go through that border crossing in Jackman. There's practically nobody there. At least on the US side, the Canadian people detained me for a while. These small towns are just kind of off the beaten path, and they're not really major tourist destinations other than maybe Marquette and of course Monterey. But if you're just looking to get away from busier places, these small places may not have the greatest selection of attractions, but they will give you some peace and tranquility and perhaps some distance from the busy place that we call our lives.